Welcome into the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm Tim Dennis. We have got a good show for you today, folks. It may be a bit of a controversial show, so hold your emails until the end. By the way, it's tim@darknessradio.com. We're going to talk a little making a murderer, but we're going to do it from a different perspective. You know, there's a group of people out there who have watched Making a Murderer, and believe me, there were over 40 million screens that had Making a Murderer on it. And a lot of people that were screaming about Steven Avery and that were screaming about a lot about Brendan Dassey and screaming about the fact that Brendan Dassey should be free and other things about Making a Murderer, and believe that Making a Murderer is the gospel truth about the Avery case. Well, we're going to dive into it today and tell you about why Making a Murderer is not exactly the case that you think it is. We've got Alan Warren with us today, and he's got a book out there in the Voices of True Crime series, this is book 2, Voices of True Crime book 2, the Making a Murderer case. Let's bring in our friend Alan Warren right now from the House of Mystery radio show. Alan, welcome back to True Crime Tuesday.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me. You serve the best coffee, so I like being here.
I appreciate you throwing that out there. I wish that were true.
Come on.
I've got us a little Keurig upstairs, and I work that thing over like it owes me money.
Yeah. Good to the last drop.
That it is. Actually, while we're at it, let's just take a sidebar here. What's your favorite coffee?
Me? Well, you know, I'm a Starbucks fan. I know that gets people riled, but it's because I like espresso, and cappuccino. That's why. Not that I'm a Starbucks fan per se, but the Dunkins and all those, they sort of don't do it very well. So. Oh,
really? You're going to fire a shot across the Dunkin' bow, huh?
Well, listen, they're fine. Just like Tim Hortons and all these different coffee places that are regionally, and they're all fine, but not just even McDonald's. Come on, you order a latte there and it's like, oh, it's not that good.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And it's only $1, so it's fine. They do that true. Summer $1 and $2 drinks and coffee, and that's all good for $1 or $2. But I still like the other. So there you go.
True. Yeah, I'm a Dunkin' guy. It's okay.
Yeah, but you do coffee, don't you? Like you don't do.
Well, yeah, I tend to do just coffee, although I'll tell you, when I want to go with something other than just regular coffee, I'll do a white chocolate mocha from Caribou Coffee, which is, a Minnesota-based company. So,
yeah. See, and that's kind of what I mean. I think that because a lot of times I travel a lot, especially when I'm doing the book or a book or something, and I do have to go around, Starbucks is the only reliable one, I think is what I'm saying. If I want to do black coffee, I can do Dunkin', I can do any of them. Mm-hmm. But if I want to do a specialty, a cappuccino or something, it's not as reliable when you go to, Caribou Coffee's good, but if you go to other places.
Yeah.
I'm in trouble now. I'll get
No.
But, that's...
Well, we're going to get controversial today, Alan, so we might as well start by coffee and then work our way up, right? You got to...
Yeah. Liquor's next.
Let me ask you this, Alan. As far as Making a Murderer in this case, when it came to the Netflix documentary, a lot of people took that documentary hook, line, and sinker, didn't they? I mean, that stirred a lot of emotion.
I did. I have no problems. Originally, when I saw it, I bought it all the way to the bank. I followed it and I thought, man, that's terrible the way they got treated.
Yeah.
So, I did too. Sure.
And let's just briefly recap for our audience the points of the case here having to do with both Steven Avery and who Steven Avery was, and then get into the fine points of the case and why it's not what we think it is. Let's talk first about Steven Avery and his background. Tell us a little bit about him and why he's so suspect as it is. What is it about Steven Avery in his early years that made him so suspect?
Well, he wasn't a very good character, in the sense of, he, throws the cat on fire in a party, and he attacked a different woman apparently, and exposed himself quite a bit to different women through the town. He had a terrible reputation, and he did not so nice of things. So he was a suspect character at best, and I think that's kind of that stuck with him forever, right through the whole time.
He did I don't want to say it was a robbery when he was younger, but didn't he knock over, was it a shop or a tavern, and took some money and some sandwiches?
Yeah, that was one of the cases. The thing is, I'm very strong on the idea that just because he does, or you have a person that does crimes like that, I don't know what you call them, minor crimes. I think that was in 81 when they broke into the tavern, and that's not the same as murder. It's not the same as rape, and I think that there is a definite line there. Between breaking into a tavern and wrecking things, and it's very, I don't know, how do you determine, I don't know what you call that kind of crime, but it's not the same as rape and murder. Okay.
But you don't see the line of the slow buildup from throwing the cat deliberately onto the fire, which would, to me, suggest the beginning of some sort of psychopathy, to, the beginnings of an innocent criminal beginnings of knocking over a tavern, trying to steal money, sandwiches, whatever. And then getting to the point where he's exposing himself to women, stalking, I guess, that type of beginning, as starting to advance in a criminal mind, or getting to the beginnings of, I don't want to call it a perverted criminal mind, Alan, but you know where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah, it is a build. It is. And I'm on board with that. I am. But the unfortunate thing in his particular case was he got arrested and convicted of a crime that he didn't commit, of a rape and an attack of a woman. I don't think we need to use her name. It's in the book and stuff, right, but I'm not really into pushing her name. But sure. of a 30, I believe she was 35, 36 at the time. So and that was in 85. And so he was accused, and he was eventually convicted of that, and he was put away for 32 years. But we all know that ended up being something that he didn't do, and that he was eventually released. But that sets up for, the making a murderer scene, and that it's kind of, I don't know. I just, but when you watch Making a Murderer, the unfortunate thing is what they did was they only showed things that they wanted to, which kind of it's suspect in a documentary, and they also changed evidence. And some of the things that they showed in the documentary, which I never understand that. I don't understand why you do that in a documentary. It makes it totally. How can you trust it? I think is what you end up saying at the end of it.
Let me ask you a key question here, Alan. That's this. Steven Avery serves time for a rape he doesn't commit, and it's pretty well, I don't want to say pretty well known, but it's well known within law enforcement circles there in that area, whether it be Manitowoc County or whether it be the Green Bay area, that there was another criminal that was wearing, I believe it was the same leather jacket as Steven Avery. And was it a hair sample that eventually proved that it was this other criminal, serial rapist that did the rape? Do you believe that that wrongful conviction sets up the perfect environment to making a murderer, whether Steven Avery is innocent or guilty of this next crime, but it sets up the perfect environment to create a slanted documentary. I'll call it that. I know our audience is cringing right now as I say this. Does it set up that environment?
Oh, sure it does. Sure it does. Because right away, once you've done that, once you've wrongfully convicted someone, what happens is it draws the line, because there's law enforcement that will say, well, I still think he's guilty. And then there's people that will kind of go the other way. And there's a lot of people out there that don't like law enforcement, or they have a negative toward law enforcement. And so once you've wrongfully convicted someone and they've been let out for something that they didn't do, that brings all those people on board, and they pass judgment on law enforcement and not the case. So their bias automatically comes out, whether they're pro or against law enforcement. And so that sets up this whole case, because how you go into the case and how you watch Making a Murderer will be determined by what you're feeling as against law enforcement. And the sad thing is, well, I don't know if that's the right word, but the bad thing is that they showed law enforcement in every angle as bad. Ken Kratz all the way down was all kind of, they were made to look like awful people.
We'll talk about Ken Kratz here in the second part of the program, who's a little bit of a controversial figure in the way he's presented, and I think the way that he presents himself. But we'll talk about him a little bit in the second part of the program. I got to ask this question too, Alan, because the psychology of how people think about law enforcement, especially when in the rare instance they get it wrong, is interesting. And especially when Avery was wrongfully convicted and imprisoned, you would think that there would be two schools of thought here. One is, we're very sorry, Mr. Avery. We did get it wrong. We apologize. Go ahead, live your life. Here's your settlement money. However hard you fight for that settlement money, live a good life. We're not going to bother you anymore. Take care. The second stream of thought is, well, here's your money. Don't go too far. Step lightly. We have our eye on you. Even though you didn't do this one, you have a history. And we know it's only a matter of time before you step out of line. Do you think in this case that law enforcement did let Steven Avery go after that initial imprisonment with the idea that, Steven's really going to be a changed man? He's going to take his settlement money. He's going to live his life. Or you know what? He's going to take his settlement money, and it's only a matter of time before he steps out of line.
I think you probably had both parts correct in the minds of different law enforcement, because, the ultimate end of the story is that you're dealing with humans, whether they be police, whether they be prosecutors, or whether they are media or whatever it is. You're dealing with humans, and humans have a lot of emotion and feelings. And some of them ultimately believe that Avery is a bad person and he does bad things. And he did bad things. That's true. And that he's capable of doing a lot of things. Is he capable of the rape and murder of Teresa Halbach? And I think it's possible. I think that's an ultimate thought that, yeah, he's the type of guy that could do it because of a lot of the things he did. But did he do it is the question. And you have to look at each case separately. But the unfortunate thing is, a lot of the characters in this case, including law enforcement, look terrible in the documentary. And I think that's the problem right down to the basic. If you feel bad about, or you hate or dislike a lot of the different law enforcement characters, it jades the whole process. The whole process looks terrible through that whole series.
It really does give a black eye to law enforcement the entire way. And what surprises me when you sit down to watch Making a Murderer is it's so easy to get sucked in and watch it and side with Avery. And you really do want to believe that, as it's put so eloquently in the book, that Manitowoc's a dirty little town, that that everything is the way it's presented, that really that the cops are just out to get Avery and nail him for the murder of Teresa Halbach. It's easy to fall in line, but then why is it that the people who have watched Making a Murderer, and the diehards, I'm talking about the diehards here, don't want to hear the other side of the evidence, which, when you look at it, when you take yourself and remove yourself out of Making a Murderer, why is it that they don't want to take a look at what's really presented in court? And we'll go through some of that evidence here as we get a little bit later in the program. Why is it the real evidence that's there that, hey, you know what? Steven Avery might have had something to do, a little more than something to do, with at least the disappearance, if not the murder, of Teresa Halbach. Why is it hard for people to see that?
Well, I wished I knew. I think that's sort of a whole psychological problem we've got in the country in general, and if you did watch it and you believed it, then it's really hard to come back on that. Right. So you sort of follow through and you go, wow, this is terrible. And look at what they did and look what they did. And you believe all this stuff, and it's all supposed to be real. How do you backtrack on that? How do you, once you've made that conviction and it's in your mind, I think people feel embarrassed or something. It's just, they don't want to, I don't know. They don't want to admit that there was a mistake made or something good or something bad happened. And the thing is, they're basing everything on that film. And that's the whole problem, because it's not all what you see, and the unfortunate thing is that they made up evidence. And that's sort of where so once you do that, you lose me personally, because I did believe it and I followed through and I thought this was a good show and everything was all hunky dory, but they actually made up things and created evidence in that film. And that's sort of a problem. That's a problem. And we have to accept that. And we have to kind of go, wow, this is wrong. And this should have never been done. And this is a lie. And then we have to we have to kind of decide that for ourselves, because that's what that was, that's what they did.
So Teresa Halbach meets her end when she's a freelance photographer. She goes to do a job for Auto Trader to take pictures of a vehicle that's for sale. And it's at the Avery compound. And they, if I remember right, they've got like an auto yard out there, like if I remember right. And she goes out there to take these pictures, never to be seen again. Her parents are worried. They call out for a missing persons report. They show up to the Avery compound, and then they discover, as they do a little bit of a search, And I'm a little confused as to who shows up to search the grounds, because initially was it just the local police that showed up and then the county came in, or was it the county that showed up and then the local came in?
Yeah, originally you were made to think that it was officers that were involved in the first case.
Okay,
that were showed up, and that kind of it's not really true. They did take part in some of the search and some of the investigation for sure, but they were not the original ones that showed up. But that, I don't think it really matters, to be honest, at that point, who showed up, because evidence is evidence, and that's kind of what we have to base everything on, not so much personalities.
And this is the point where his defense claims that evidence is planted, although that's not really the case. And in Making a Murderer, they make it seem like evidence is planted, particularly a key, and some blood was planted. That is when you do your research outside of Making a Murderer, is not the case. And talk to us a little bit. I want to know a little bit, Alan, about the key. Now, we'll talk about the story here in a minute as to how we find out that that's not the case. But there's a key that has to do with, I believe it's Teresa Halbach's vehicle that she arrived in, correct?
Yeah, the RAV4, which is what she drove. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden the key shows up, and they make it look like on the fourth or fifth investigation or search of the property, all of a sudden they find the key. and that's not the case. None of that's true.
And that was how it was presented on Making a Murder. Like, it just all of a sudden we just found it and it was on the floor. But it turns out that they were actually, and you cited it in the book, in one of your interviews that you had done on, I believe it was House of Mystery, correct? That they were actually searching through shelves, right? And it came out of, well, let's just call it what it is. It came out of a stack of pornography, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it just fell out. And, people don't, I'm not sure why, but when they see that, I guess when we see something, we believe it, So when you see it on the documentary, you just go, oh, that's terrible. It's a lie. They made it up. But that's not how it happened. They manipulated that whole scene, and that never took place. So that's the biggest problem with the film.
And the fact of the matter is, the key was hidden away. Somebody had taken Teresa's key, hidden it in that stack of pornography, which is sitting on a shelf, which suggests some sort of guilt. Like they got a hold of her key. Obviously, they got a hold of her and stashed the key away. It wasn't the police that stashed the key, or all of a sudden just had the key and threw it on the floor. Obviously, it was it was hidden away by somebody on those grounds.
Yeah. It just kind of, it's one of those points that it should never be there where it was found. It should never be there. And if you believe the police came back and hid it there, that's kind of what a lot of people did after they watched that show. But that's really not the case. Not even close.
Let's do this. Let's take our break. When we come back, I want to talk about the other person in this case and a confession that, let's just say, people question as to whether this should even go as far as it should, and it convicted. Well, let's just say in a conviction. Let's talk about Brendan Dassey when we come back, and the Reid technique, whether Brendan should have been or had somebody in the room, or been forced to have had somebody in the room during his interrogation, and how this weighs in with Steven Avery, and whether we can believe his interrogation and how it fits with the case and how exactly it fits with Steven Avery. We'll do that when we come back. The name of the book is The Making a Murder Case, Voices of True Crime, Book 2. Alan Warren is our guest. We have a link to the book in the description of this program. Go ahead and get that during the break. When we come back, more with Alan Warren. We'll talk about Brendan Dassey when we come back here on the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm Tim Dennis. We're talking about The Making a Murderer Case, Voices of True Crime, Book 2. It is from Alan Warren. A little bit of a controversial show today, folks, as we're taking the other way around the Making a Murderer Case. We're talking about what was left out of the documentary. And a lot was left out of the documentary. In fact, it was spun quite a bit if you take a look at the other side, the side that came from law enforcement. And you'll see if you sit and watch the documentary, that there were a lot of edits that were put in there. There were a lot of things that were put in there that are assumed and not actually part of the truth. And I know I'm opening myself up, Alan, for some emails as well from people who have watched the documentary and have bought it hook, line, and sinker. One of the things that people are going to point out, and they'll say to you, Alan, let's look at Brendan Dassey. Let's look at the fact that there's a man here that's mentally challenged, who actually you could say was a kid who was mentally challenged, who was sat down, was forced to be interrogated over and over again, let's face it, when he was in class, had to have some sort of adult with him to translate what was being said to him by an adult because he didn't understand. He had a lower IQ. And he's being hammered by cops over and over again as to what went on at that Avery compound when Teresa Halbach was there. And he's trying to, in their interpretation, trying to please these authorities. He's trying to give them the story that they want. He's trying to tell them, well, it happened this way. It happened that way. It happened this way. It happened that way. And they're saying that they fed him the way that it happened. Explain to me, Alan, what exactly happened in that interrogation and why he didn't have anybody in that room, whether it be parent or lawyer, with him when they did their interrogation.
Well, first of all, people have to know, I don't think he should be interrogated by experienced police without an adult or without a lawyer. I totally disagree with that. And the way it stands in some states, they can do that. They do have the right to interview. And the police look at it like, well, there's a lot of, I don't know, how do you say this? There's a lot of people that, kids that do bad things. And if they had to wait for lawyers and parents that they, they're never going to get the truth and they're never going to save people. And there's a lot of crimes that going on. So there's kind of two sides to that. But I don't think that someone in his situation where he had mental issues and he was also young and he was very inexperienced and naive, that he should have some support there. You got to have that to level it out. I agree with that. And I think in his case that he was not represented or protected. But a lot of that was to do with his own mother. I mean, initially, when they came to see him at the school, both times, and they talked to his mother and even picked her up and brought her into the police station, she didn't want any part of it. She didn't want to be in the room. She didn't want to sit in with the investigation, and she chose not to do that. And that was her choice. And she gave them her permission to be interviewed. So legally, they were allowed to do it. I don't agree with the law. I don't agree with that situation. So that's I agree with all the naysayers. I'm right in there because it's not fair. It's not right. And he wasn't, he didn't have the mental capacity to handle himself. So that's all up straight right at the beginning. But in the show, They cut out 30 minutes of the interview on the YouTube video and in a lot of the places that saw it. So most of the people saw the edited version. And so they do sort of it, they present it in the show almost like they were feeding him the information. They were feeding him how to, what had happened. But I think people have to go back to the original time that they actually interviewed Dassey and see that 30 minutes, or at least I put the transcripts of the 30 minutes in there.
Mm-hmm.
And, and if you look at that, you'll see initially they were trying to get him as a witness to, if she was there, what he had seen, if he had seen her vehicle and his involvement as a witness. But he came right out and said things right from the get-go about the rape and the murder without any feed. So that in itself shows guilt. And because it is legal where he's at to be interrogated without counsel or without a parent, that sort of takes away that question of it.
Okay. I wonder, and the thing that, and I'm sure you'll agree, I wonder at that point, and I know you're saying they need to pull this information out of him, or they need to sit and interrogate him. If they don't, of course, they're never going to get that information out of him, or they're never going to at least try to make that attempt. You almost wonder, as a responsible lawman, wouldn't you, as the mother saying, no, go ahead, just interrogate him, I don't need to be in the room. And I know his lawyer at one time refused to sit as well at one of the interrogations, which to me just seems odd. Doesn't that seem odd to you?
Well, that's really odd for if you're defending someone or if you're someone's attorney, not to be there, because you would want to make sure all the information is correct and that they handle themselves accordingly, and that you're there to protect them, right? It makes no sense not to be there.
I would think at a certain point, if your lawyer shows up, the lawyer would walk in and tell Brendan to stop talking.
Yeah.
Because at that point, he's incriminating himself, unless there's some deal cut. I just don't see where the lawyer says, well, no, it's okay for him to talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's totally wrong. It's done. It was. I agree totally. That's it, in his particular case. It's not the way it should be. But now, if you want to look at it, let's say you had never seen the film, and you don't know anything about the case, or very little, and you don't know Brendan Dassey, and let's just say you were part of the victim's family or friends. So if you have someone in your family that's been missing, and then she's been raped and murdered and burned, and you're looking at it from that side, ultimately you want the truth. Mm-hmm. I would think. Yeah. You want the right person to be put away, or you want the right person to be stopped and taken off the street. I would think. We don't want to, there's no advantage to putting away people that didn't do it. There's nothing good for you getting that. So you want the right person punished. So you do want the ultimate truth. And I think in this case, the ultimate truth is that the two of them did it and were involved in the case and were involved in the murder and rape. So the bottom line is, we want justice for the victims. But I agree that this needs to be, this whole scenario with someone like Brendan Dassey, we need to have a better system set up. We need to have something more consistent with what's going on, because there's no way he should have been through what he went through. And there's just, the whole thing was wrong. And I agree with that. But don't take, all I'm saying with the book is that what you see from making a murderer is it's in a lot of cases, it's missing big parts of it. You're only seeing part of the story, not all of it. And the other thing is they've actually created evidence. They created fake stuff. It's not what you see never happened. And that's kind of the hard part that I have with it. If they didn't do that, then I would be fine with them complaining about the Dassey situation.
Absolutely. One of the gentlemen you interviewed on your show, and one of the things I should mention, folks, before we move forward and talk about this man is everyone that Alan has interviewed for this book. There's also a website attachment or a URL attached so that you can go and listen to the actual interview itself with the subject. Which again, I applaud you for, Alan. It's a brilliant stroke to put that in the book so that people can go listen to the actual audio with the interview with each subject involved, so you can hear the words of that person themselves and really dive deep into the subject. Not just seeing the words on the page, but hearing the actual words itself, so you can really.
Yeah, I think that's important, right? I think it's kind of like you can listen to them and see what you think of, if they're confident, if they sound believable or not. You can sort of see how they feel when they're making statements.
Yes, yeah, and again, brilliant for you to do that. One of the gentlemen you interview is the district attorney of Calumet County in Wisconsin. During the Steven Avery and Brendan Dassey trials for murder and sexual assault of Teresa Halbach in 2007, and that's Ken Kratz.
Yeah.
Kratz, rather, Ken Kratz.
Yeah.
It's Wisconsin names is hard. Let's just put it that way. There's many pronunciations. Ken Kratz is an interesting fellow in that he's confident at what he does. He has to be. He's a prosecutor. He's also an interesting fellow in that he's been done really, really wrong, and he's also had many threats against him. So he's got a chip the size of, most states on his shoulder. We could say a chip the size of Wisconsin on his shoulder. And he's hard to get to know. He's hard to get to love. He's not exactly number one in your hearts and in your programs. He's, in fact, probably one that you've turned into an adversary if you've watched Making a Murderer, and he's probably one that you're wanting to cast in the role of Darth Vader if you have watched the show. Your experience with Ken Kratz, tell me a little bit about it, and why would you believe strongly that what he has to say, and why the evidence he presents is so strong in the fact that the Making a Murderer documentary makers have it so wrong?
Well, I think with Kratz I actually spent a couple of days with him, and the thing is, he's pretty straightforward and honest with everything. He was with me, and I mean, and so people know he's not the best character, and he was texting different people that had been arrested for different crimes, and he was trying to get sex and from different girls and say, well, make sure you don't go to jail if you have sex with me and stuff. He did a lot of bad things. He got convicted, lost his license to practice. He was in a lot of trouble, all that stuff. So but with me the whole time, he was very upfront with all of it. He didn't try to cover up any of it. He didn't make it like, oh, I didn't do that, or it was fake, or it wasn't really what he didn't do any of that. So he was, he really kind of forgot his pride and sort of said what happened and everything. And I think what it is it's not like I took him and kind of go, oh, what he says is true, everything I believe in. But I took what he said, like when he mentioned about the parts of the interview that were not shown, and about different interviews with police that it never happened the way they did. Like that one part where they asked the guy, the policeman, a question, and then he answered yes. He never did answer yes. And in fact, Kratz got up and made an objection, and the objection was sustained, so he didn't even answer. But they actually, instead of doing that, they cut that part out and just show the officer, and then they have a recording of this officer saying yes, which he never did. So they actually went out of the way to totally fake that scene. And so it's not so much what Kratz said. It's just that when you take what he said and you compare it to the evidence and you find out the truth, you go, well, he was pretty honest with what he told me. And so what I'm saying is he laid out some of the stories and what he believed. And what I did was I went and found the transcripts, and I found the videos, and I watched the real thing. And then it's like, well, yeah, what he said is true. What he said is true. Like he didn't lie. So that's that. So it's not like I'm sticking up for him and think he's a great guy and honorable and all this, blah, blah, blah. I don't. Quite the opposite. But what he did tell me, I verified with evidence, real evidence. And that's what I'm going by, not the evidence. Not what he said. I'm going by the evidence. He's just like a witness that leads you to the evidence, and then you check out the evidence. So I got the ideas from him, but I'm not going with his word alone, is what I'm saying.
So that leads to the question, and I believe someone else in the book also asked this question as well. When does Netflix ask the documentary makers to either issue an apology or do some sort of retraction as to what they did with their work?
Well, that's kind of the backlash right now, and that's kind of the underlying question. And they've been taken to task. They've been asked, but they won't respond. They have nothing to do. They're sort of kind of trying to be play the role of, well, it's nothing to do with us. All we did was air the show. We didn't make it. We didn't say anything about it. We just, we paid these two that were making a film, and we aired it. We're not responsible for what they said. So they're kind of trying to pull that way. They get their way out of it that way. I don't know whether it succeed or not. I don't know. It seems like it seems in general, people have, when they watched Making a Murder, they were totally on board, and it was like a big thing. And now it seems to have disappeared from the public. It's not a major drive anymore, and a lot of people have just sort of not as involved as they used to be. So no one's really holding Netflix to task. So I don't know if anything will happen to them. I know that the filmmakers are being sued themselves, and I know people have attempted to with Netflix, but Netflix is probably going to get out of it.
Well, I got to think too. You have to wonder what the liability is really as far as Netflix goes. Netflix is simply the house in which the vehicle in which the film gets out. The filmmakers themselves are the ones who put the material together. They edit. They're the creator. Yeah. Netflix itself is just the distributor.
Right. And that's kind of what they're claiming. They're saying, "Hey, look, we're just the, we're like the HBO or the CBC or CBS or whatever network showing a show. We're not making these claims."
Yep.
And so it's kind of like that. So I'm not sure what will happen to them, but in essence, if they really cared about the truth, let's say as a corporation, they would not be showing the film anymore. Right.
Right.
They would take it down. People are still watching it. It's still a money-making project for them. So like if you yourself is, if you're running a business and then you're showing films and you're doing books, and all of a sudden you found out one was totally fake and it caused all these problems. If you had real, if you were really caring about what was said and you're really disturbed that it was all fake or a lot fake and lied and all that, you would just stop showing it, right? You would go, "Oh, take it down. Nothing to do with this. This is terrible."
Sure.
They're not doing that. They're saying that, but they're still showing it. It's still generating income for them. So I think that
sure.
it, it's
Well,
kind of a,
when you have 40 million views of something, it's not something you yank right away off your network, whether it be controversial or not. I mean, there's,
No.
initially there's the initial pull of, the story of a man potentially done wrong. But then after that, it's hey, have you seen this? You got to go back and see this.
Yeah.
Whether it be a true story or not. Now it's just, I think it's more of would you call it a true crime fable at this point, Alan?
Yeah, I call it a fictional version. It's kind of like it's like when like that last series on Dahmer on it was a fictional, like that's a fictional story. Like people are looking at it like real, but it's really historical fiction. A lot of it didn't really happen, and a lot of it's made up. It's the same sort of thing. So this is a fictional telling of what happened to Teresa Halbach and the characters around her. It's not I would not call it documentary, and it's certainly not nonfiction. So yeah, but they should still stop showing it. It's kind of ridiculous. There's a point, you got caught.
Mm-hmm.
The real evidence is out there. People can find it, they can watch it, and if they really care, they'll go, "Oh, wow, this isn't real." So they should just stop showing it. I know there's a lot of money in it generated, all that, but there has to be a point where you kind of go, "Well, enough is enough," or at least change it and say, "Oh, by the way, this is a fictional account." Give a warning.
One of the pieces of evidence that at least Ken Kratz claims is out there that I think did or didn't make making a murder was the blood evidence. Can you talk a little bit about that in EDTA and why it was to the filmmakers not so important, but to the case it is important?
Yeah, EDTA has really kind of been a big thing lately, and it really kind of started with the Simpson case when blood was considered, placed by police. That was Mark Furman in that case, where they said that he planted the evidence, and it come from a vial of blood that was taken from O.J. Simpson before for something totally unrelated. And how they know is when you go for blood tests with the police, or police take samples, let's say for not only murder cases, but all crime. It could be even a DUI case. Once they put it into a vial, the vial has a preservative in it. The preservative is EDTA, and that keeps the blood usable for a long period of time, like years. And so when they search and find blood as evidence, if someone accuses the police of planting the evidence, or if it's suspicious, what the defense will do is they'll test to see if there's a lot of this chemical in there, or enough that they consider it to be planted, because obviously it didn't come right from the person. It wasn't bled out from the victim or the culprit. It was taken from some other sample somewhere that was, being held. So that's an important part of the case. But you see, there's also a problem with that EDTA that a lot of people don't talk about, is that that chemical, that how do I say it? I make it sound bad because I say chemical, but that substance of EDTA shows up in your blood even if they take it directly out of your arm, but that's a really low percentage compared to what's found in the vial that's created by doctors and that. So I think that determining the amount that should be in the blood is always the question.
Okay.
And that's really inconsistent with the medical community. So that's one issue that we have to deal with. And it seems like in a lot of cases, and this is another one.
And I always thought the percentage of EDTA in a vial was much, much higher than the amount that would be in the body. So it'd be blatantly obvious if you went and you planted. And I remember when we were doing the OJ book, with you. The amount that would be splashed, like say on a back fence, if you took and you splashed them on the back fence of the property there on Nicole Simpson's property, if you were to take and test it, you would know that the high amount of EDTA in the sample would be blatantly obvious, and you would know that was blood from a vial that was kept, rather than fresh blood that was a blood spatter that had happened from
during the O.J. Simpson case. Yes, that was the general thinking at the time, and that's kind of what people said. That was kind of what everybody was. Okay, this is what it is. But over a period of time, and even to the part where we get into this case, the amount of preservative used in these vials is not much more than the amount that comes up in your blood, because it's at a different. They do things differently now. Things are better. It's hard for me to explain. It's not quite as let's just say it's not quite as established when we talk about EDTA anymore. In fact, it's becoming one of those things that you're going to hear less and less about in murder cases, because of the inconsistency between police and medical communities and what they do with it.
Okay. Am I wrong in assuming that Ken Kratz believes that the blood was not even an issue before they even went to court, that it wasn't even provable that was planted?
Yeah. Well, and in his mind, there is no conspiracy, right? And in Kratz and a lot of law enforcement, there's no, this is just made up. This is just a defense ploy to try and get their clients off. Mm-hmm. So in his mind, there's no such thing. This is real. He doesn't believe anything. The police did anything wrong. So it's far-fetched for him. So he really believes that everything was legit, and that this is just a smokescreen by the defense.
Okay. Let me ask you this as we're starting to wrap up the program here, Alan. When it comes to the actual facts in this case, not what we've seen on Making a Murderer, but the actual facts in this case, do you believe if we were to take a good solid look at it, and someone who had watched Making a Murderer took a good solid fact at it, or a good solid look at the facts, and really weighed it with an open mind, do you think you could easily say, yeah, Steven Avery was a part of this and actually had a part in killing Teresa?
Yeah, I think if you want to get real, if you want to get really real, like get down to it, you would look at it, and if you looked at the truth, like if you don't even just pick up the transcripts, like put the transcript part in the back of this book. So if you just looked at it and just read what let's say Dassey said, and if you just looked at what evidence was not shown in there, and if you just looked at the evidence, you'd probably convict both of them without a doubt. I think the majority of the people would. I mean, I would. I don't think that so their way of getting it from Dassey might have been wrong, and it might not be the way that police should be doing things. So his conviction's questionable, but the bottom line is they were both involved for sure. Avery was totally, they were both. I think that Avery was really intimidating for Dassey, and I think he intimidated him into doing the things that they did. I think Avery was the I don't know I don't want to call him mastermind, but he was the guy that was behind it all. I mean, Um, the biggest backlash that you'll probably get from this is um, people will say, well, if it was true that they had raped her and killed her and slit her stomach open and all this stuff in Avery's bedroom, there would have been blood and everything around. And when I talked to Kratz about that and why they, when they convicted the two of them, they did it in different stories. It's because they didn't believe that story. But that's what Dassey said. So that's why they used it. But the truth is, they think that she was killed out in the garage. So it has nothing to do with the room. And that was that's sort of a big issue right there. That's why people don't necessarily believe Ken Kratz.
There was a story as well that wasn't it that Avery had been shampooing rugs for something like 4 days with bleach or something to that effect, and that Dassey had an outfit that they had found that had been bleach stained quite badly.
Yeah, that's true. That's totally true. That's totally true. But I still think, because, Dassey, when you look at the original part when he was talking about what had happened, it sounds very real. And that's the part that they cut out in the movie. And that's in the transcript that I put in the book. But then eventually it turned into, oh, well, they had raped her in the room. She was tied up. And then all of a sudden Avery stabbed her to death and then they killed her, right? And all this stuff. And so a lot of people thought there would be all this blood in the room. But that's not what they really believed happened, as in like the detectives and the investigators. They kind of thought that this all happened out in the garage. And then of course that's why the bleach too, because they had bleached the floor and in the garage. And then that's when it got on Dassey's jeans or jean shorts, whatever he was wearing. So I don't know. The whole thing's a mess, but I think the bottom line is I think they were involved. I think Dassey was just going along with it. He was definitely not doing it on his own accord. He was told what to do.
I wonder, and maybe because they didn't believe that it, like you said, the murder didn't occur in the house or in the bedroom. It really did occur out in the garage. Why they didn't have like a cadaver dog or a dog that's trained in sniffing out blood, or even better tools brought in maybe from the state to try and, like, some sort of luminescent tool to try and look for blood stains underneath a carpet or something like that. Because you can only get so much blood depending on if there's blood there and you've tried to wash it out with bleach. There should still be some sort of trace there, wouldn't you think, that it sunk into the floor?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But I think what it was, I mean, if you really look at it, this case all happened years before the movie came out.
Sure.
Right. The series. So in their mind, they had enough evidence and they knew, the prosecutor and all the police, they do these cases all the time. They had their case together. They had the evidence and they knew they would get convictions, and that's what they were doing. It wasn't like a CSI episode where they had to get every last detail down and they were being watched. They had no idea that this was going to happen, with the whole making a murderer. And even though they knew there was these two amateur filmmakers, because that's what they were at the time, they were not like some big pro company, and it wasn't known as Netflix. They were just two girls from college that were filming this case. They didn't even know if it would ever be aired or made into anything, because this, that sort of thing happens all the time. And so when this happened years later, and then every detail was gone through, you're going to find a lot of inconsistencies, but I would bet you that in probably 70% of the cases, if we did this with the same sort of scrutinizing with most of the different cases that have been put away, we would find the same inconsistencies and a lot of the same problems. Because, a lot of these prosecutors and police have 70, 80 cases going at a time, and they do the best they can with the time that they have, and they put it together, and they do it to get the prosecution. They're not doing it like it's the only case they have, and they're, like I said, a CSI episode where you watch the whole thing and that's all they're doing is focusing on this case, and they go through every last detail to prove it. They got too much going on, and it's realistically, that's how it is.
Tell me real quick how, we featured Edward Wayne Edwards before on this program, and talked about his story and talked about how he ended up on a game show. How does Edward Wayne Edwards fit into the story?
Well, John Cameron, who wrote about Edward Wayne Edwards, said that someone had sent him a clip of making a murderer, and I think during one of the episodes, they thought they spotted Edwards in the audience watching the case go on with Avery. And so, and he looked at it and he said, yeah, it could be. So he went to town with that, and it turned into, all of a sudden, it was Edward Wayne Edwards in the courthouse watching. And he might have done this because that's, that was his scenario. He used to set people up for the murders he committed, and watch them get convicted of stuff he knew that he had done. And that was his MO, right? So, Cameron went to town with that and turned it into a whole scenario. He put together the whole thing because it happened on Halloween when she went missing, and he put together all these different conspiracies linking Edwards to this murder. And then afterwards, of course, they found out that that was not Edwards in the court watching the case. And of course, that fell apart. But I think that I include it in the book, along with a few others, is mainly to show you kind of how out of hand these theories get from people on little to no evidence, just on feelings. And it just represents how crazy it goes, like that. I think that one went kind of nutty crazy, and I we can't take that too seriously, right?
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I think we just have to, people get really wrapped up in it, and they get emotionally attached to people in a series, like Making a Murderer, just like you do from your favorite TV show or movie or series, and we feel for them, and then so we try to help them, and this is a real case, and so it's easy to feel sorry for Brendan Dassey, and I still do to this day. I think it was completely terrible what he went through, and the whole scenario is bad. That's not the way we should be enforcing the law with minors, especially with mental problems. But I think the bottom line is they really did commit this crime. I think Dassey was an accessory, and he was intimidated by Avery, and shouldn't be held to the same responsibility. So I agree with that totally. But they were the ones. They were the culprits in this case.
The book is The Making a Murderer Case, Voices of True Crime, Book 2. Our guest, Alan Warren, is the author of that. You can listen to him on House of Mystery Radio. And Alan, tell people, first of all, you can get the book in the link in the description of this program, but tell people how they can hear House of Mystery Radio.
Well, nowadays it's everywhere. I mean, of course, if you're in LA or Seattle, you can hear it on one of the radio stations, KCAA or KKNW. And if not, it streams. And of course, it's also on my website, alanrwarren.com or houseofmysteryradio.com. And all the shows are up there. And you can listen to any older show, or it's all neatly organized. And yeah, and of course, it's on all your podcast platforms like Spotify and everything like that. So it's around.
There you go. And it's a very good program, my friend. Excellent program. So I encourage people to check it out if you have not already. I don't know what you're doing with your life. So that's all I know.
They're listening to you.
Well, Yeah, but that only takes a little bit of time. Otherwise, there's House of Mystery Radio, which is amazing. It's amazing. It's Alan has so many good guests over there at House of Mystery Radio, so you want to check it out. Alan, thank you so much for being with us again, my friend.
Well, thank you. And I appreciate it anytime, And please send all of your hate mail to Tim.
Yes, at tim@darknessradio.com. I'll field this one, Alan, and you'll have to buy me a Dunkin'. That's how it'll. That's how it works.
Dunkin' donut. Yeah.
I'll take a donut with it too, because I'm taking all the.
I'll get you a 6-pack. How's that?
Oh, that's why you're my favorite friend. Folks, it's time to lighten things up once again. Bring in our buddy Beer City Bruiser, and it's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time once again, the time you are all looking forward to here on True Crime Tuesday. It's time for Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals, and for that we need a host. We need a co-host, and you have both. You've got the co-host with the most right now with us, the BCB, the Big Cuddly Bear, Beer City Bruiser. How you doing, Bruiser?
I'm doing okay, Cruiser. I'm telling you what, I need to laugh today, so I hope there's a lot of stupid criminals out there.
Oh, boy.
I need to laugh and make fun of people, Cruiser.
Boy, I loaded it up for you today, buddy. Boy, do we have some stupid stories. Oh, if you're ready for this, pal, we have the stupidest of the stupidest set up for you today. Let's start off at the University of Maine. I got to ask you first of all, Bruiser, what's the stupidest thing you did in college? I may have asked you this before, but I'm talking the stupidest of the stupid in a group setting.
I was at a frat party and it got busted.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my college roommate, we ditched the party. We're not getting busted. So we went running out. I stopped to go back and get the keg.
Okay.
Because they don't need it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my buddy grabbed the keg and we're going and we're running. And there's a fence to get over. So it was, how do we get the keg over the fence? So I'm like, I'll get over. And I go to try to jump over, and I was wearing some khaki pants at the time, and the crotch caught on.
Oh.
And I got hung up. So I get the keg over to my roommate, and I'm sitting there, help, I can't get off. And he's like, well, I got the keg, I'll meet you at the room. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? So I ended up just leaving the pants.
No.
Just taking them off. It was one of those days because I was in college. There was no clean underwear. So it's like, hey, took the pants off and went back to the room. I get in the room, and my roommate looks at me and goes, well, you're naked from the waist down. I says, yeah, you left me. So it was either get busted by the cops or leave the pants. I emptied the pockets. I had my license and all that. They couldn't figure out whose pants they were.
You Pooh-Beared it back to the room?
I sure did. I was like Donald Duck, waddling all the way back.
Well, that far exceeds anything I ever did. Congratulations. You win.
Oh, we polished that keg off, and it was. I ended up putting boxers on, but I want to put pants back on. So.
Well, there you go. I mean, you got to cover up a little bit. I mean,
Well, we made fun. When we got back to the room, we invited people over, and the rules was no pants party, so you have to either wear your underwear or boxers. So we had guys and girls and boxers and thongs and whatever. And if somebody didn't have underwear, I lent them. We found boxers and lend them and stuff. And
there you go. That's a fun party. That's a fun theme.
Yep. That's probably the stupidest thing I've done.
I actually got together quite drunkenly with a bunch of friends, and we took a buddy's car and put it up from the curb onto. He was living with his parents at the time, so we took his little Chevy. Was it a Chevette? Is that what it was at the time, or Chevy Nova? I'm trying to remember. I think it was a Chevette. But there was 4 of us, and we lifted it off the ground and we put it onto his lawn.
Yes.
Just because we thought it was funny if he came out to, drive it out the next day, that it would be on the lawn. Just S's and G's.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, the thought of 4 guys who were, a little too drunk for their own good, physically lifting a Chevette and then putting it on the front lawn would be too much. So,
and it's good, harmless fun.
It is.
You know, nobody got hurt. In either story, nobody got hurt.
No, nobody got hurt. The guys in this story, though, they lifted something maybe a little bit heavier than a Chevette. I don't know. And then they just absconded with it and never came back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an $8,000 copper bear statue that was reportedly stolen from the University of Maine.
Now, where are you going to hide that?
I don't know. That's one of a kind. That's not one of those things you just steal and put on your front lawn, or just steal and put elsewhere. That's
a conversation, people.
You know, I was listening to Talk is Jericho this past weekend on Sirius XM. It's like when somebody stole the AEW championship belt when he had it.
Oh, yeah. That happened to Gunther, Walter, he was at the time, when they stole the WWE NXT UK belt. And he literally said, what are you going to do with it?
Right. Now, at the time, this is a belt in excess of $25,000, I think they said was the
Yeah, and he left it in a limo, right? Isn't that what Jericho did? He left it in a limo?
Yeah, and he stopped at a restaurant to eat, and somebody stole the belt.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. At the time, there were no replicas of the AEW belt.
Yeah, that's what happened with Walter, too. There was no replicas of the NXT UK. So you literally I know with WWE, they make 3 belts for the champion. You have one that you take around with you. You have one that's real pretty for the autograph signings, and then you have one for TV.
Right.
And he had the one you take everywhere. And he goes, the other 2 are on the ring truck. Like, what are you going to do with this one? And Jericho said the same thing. He's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So it's not like you could probably take it and show it off to your buddies, but it's not like you can take it to a pawn shop because, they're not going to buy it from you. It's a hot item that automatically is going to go to the cops and they're going to know it was you and you're going to jail.
Yeah, it's not like you can say, hey, I just stumbled upon this giant bear statue.
Yeah. You can't just take the University of Maine's bear statue and say, hey, I just happened to find it at a garage sale and I bought it. I
had a choice between this and one of those tobacco Indian thingies.
Yeah, and so I bought the tobacco guy. A copper bear statue valued at $8,000. By the way, it was hollow, like one of those cheap Easter bunnies. Was reportedly stolen from a college campus just days after 4 males allegedly destroyed a $4,000 sign. I would say check with those 4 guys first.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they had something to do with it.
Yeah. The University of Maine police announced that the statue was stolen from Buchanan Alumni House, and they have been seeking the statue as well as any potential suspect since the theft was reported on November 23rd of 2022. Somebody's been real quiet since then.
Yeah. I checked their rivals. Maybe this is a hazing thing.
Yeah, it could be. I
remember stealing the mascot outfit from our rival in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
You're admitting that now.
Now I am. Here we are 30 years later. Of course I am.
Sure. A spokesperson for the university, Margaret Nagel, told the Bangor Daily News, it's hardly Daily News, that it's my own little joke there, that the statue is 2 feet by 3 feet and hollow. So you can bite into it and it'll crumble like a little penny. Yeah.
It's at a frat house right now, and they're just throwing stuff at it, denting it everywhere.
They are. Or they're dressing it up real pretty.
Oh, I would. It's definitely got those large sunglasses on it with a hat, large bucket hat.
That's true. Or wearing a pretty, pretty dress. Campus police are offering a $500 reward, just $500 for an $8,000 statue.
Yeah, you know what it is? The guys that stole it are waiting for that reward to go up. That's what
right.
They're doing.
What they probably haven't figured out is it's only worth $8,000. They're probably thinking, oh yeah, this thing's worth $1 million, dude. It's not.
We're gonna get at least $50,000 for this.
That's right, and it's not worth that much.
No, I bet the most reward goes for $1,000.
That's probably right. Yeah. According to campus police, campus police are offering a $500 reward to anyone who provides information leading to the identification of any suspects. Good luck on that. According to campus police, the theft of the bear statue happened just days after 4 students were seen on surveillance video damaging a $4,000 sign outside the Buchanan Alumni House on November 20th of 2022. Even Money says it's the same guys.
Yeah. Might want to bring them in.
Yep. They did that at approximately 12:13 in the morning. I don't know. That must be late in Bangor, Maine. I have no idea. I don't know. The 4 students have since been identified, according to the Bangor Daily News. Again, you Bangor, you brought her. That's the scoop in Bangor, Maine. So there you go. There's quite a few Florida stories today, Bruce.
Oh, Florida never disappoints.
No, and especially not this week, my friend.
Yeah.
We're going to start out with the first deadly Florida story. A Florida man allegedly beat his coworker to death with a sledgehammer. Turns out, if you don't like your coworker in Florida, bring a sledgehammer to work.
Hey, in my line of work, we use sledgehammers.
You do, yes, yeah. But it's more of a gimmicky thing where you always put the hand over the top of the sledgehammer and you kind of give him the old shove hit, This guy didn't do so. He raised it over his head in full swing. 31-year-old man allegedly bludgeoned his coworker to death with a sledgehammer at their workplace. Yeah, last week.
He wasn't giving him his faxes.
That could be. Yeah. Do they even do that? Faxes?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't worked in an office in years.
On Wednesday, January 18th, shortly before 7 a.m., Hollywood, Florida police officers responded to Marine and Energy Manufacturing Company. Oh my gosh, how do you pronounce this? It looks like a Polish company. Wrocław? Maybe. Their officers reportedly found the victim in a pool of blood, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. Well, that's a thorough job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that. He's dead. How do you know? Look at the pool of blood.
Look at the pool of blood. It's a pool of blood. It's not like a couple of drops. Brian Manitowoc, yes, allegedly hit the victim in the head repeatedly with a large sledgehammer. Yikes. Police told WPLG TV that Menekala, see, it's hard to say twice, it's Menocal, eventually admitted to killing his coworker, Ferdinand Andy Williams. It's probably because he kept whistling the Godfather theme over and over again.
His name was Ferdinand Andy Williams?
Yeah, I think Andy was a nickname. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Following an argument at Wrocław, I want to say Wrocław, but it's probably Wrocław because it's got the umlauts over both A's. Would it be Wrocław?
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 Wrocław.
Wrocław? I don't know.
Like Wordzilla.
Wrocław, yadar, hey, sure, Another employee reportedly saw Manakala? I don't know. I'm in pronunciation hell today. That's right.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
Walk into their facility with a sledgehammer and leave. Okay, so he pretty much did it, I believe. Yeah. According to WPLG, the only pronunciation I'll get right today, Broward County Sheriff's deputies found Menoccal, 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 Menoccal. Medical. Outside his apartment, and he was, I don't know why I'm having such trouble with that name. Outside his apartment, and he was taken into custody. So he took a break from bludgeoning.
Yeah, he was tired. He had to go have soda.
Yeah.
Smoke a quick cigarette.
Yeah, that's what it was.
He had to rehydrate.
Yeah.
Swinging that sledgehammer, man, that's a workout.
It's tough work. Yeah. Tough work bludgeoning your coworker to death.
It is. Yeah. The human skull doesn't crack easily.
No, it ain't no egg, that's for sure. Yep. He was taken into custody outside of his apartment. He was booked into the Broward County Jail for second-degree murder without bond. No bond on this deal.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't let him out.
No. Williams reportedly leaves behind his wife, 3 children, and other family members, sadly. A spokesperson for Wrocław, I don't know why I say it like one of the cone heads, told WPLG that the company was very saddened to learn of the incident. That's it? We're saddened? Yeah, we're saddened. Wrocław is very saddened to hear about this here. Yeah.
Now we're hiring.
Boy, that's a little cold and unusual. We're hiring you there at Wartsala. Yeah.
We have an opening for two.
Two to take
Two openings.
We're sad about
here at
Andy.
Wartsala.
Yeah, at Wartsala.
Must pass psych eval.
Oh gosh, no. Jeez. We're hiring for two. The guy who bludgeoned and the guy who got the bludgeon.
Yep.
I'm really wondering what's going on down there in North Carolina, down in your parts, with the slow speed chases.
Oh, just safety, which is weird.
Safety.
Because nobody, this is, you drive on these roads just a couple times and you realize, oh yeah, NASCAR was born here.
True.
There's no blinkers.
Yep.
There's no speed limit's a suggestion.
True.
Yeah.
I got a weird one here for you, Bruiser.
Okay.
This week. Okay. So
I think I know where you're going with this because I was watching the news and I remember happening. I looked at Mrs. Bruiser and said, I guarantee you Tim's picking this story.
Oh, yeah. This happened last Thursday. A farm tractor led cops on a 20-mile-per-hour chase through Boone, North Carolina.
Yep, that's mountain country.
Yeah, it's mountain country.
Yep.
A 43-year-old North Carolina man stole a tractor and led police on a low-speed chase down the highway. And by low speed, we're talking low speed, like limbo low. A man in North Carolina stole a John Deere tractor, inciting a low-speed chase through the town of Boone. I'm sorry, this was on Tuesday, not Thursday. Police claim the driver of the stolen tractor is one Ronnie Hicks. That sounds like the kind of guy who'd steal a tractor.
Good old Ronnie.
Good old Ronnie Hicks, whom police are allegedly very familiar with. This is in quotes. Very familiar with. No one was hurt or injured during the chase. Thank you, God. Despite the John Deere reaching speeds up to 20 miles per hour down U.S. Highway 421 South. Well, if you're driving...
I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
The funniest thing about this is the news had a news chopper over the chase. Mm-hmm. And to protect everybody, the police had to block the other lanes so nobody could pass.
Yeah. Well, of course. Yeah.
But when they show the overhead footage from the helicopter, there's got to be about 100 cars behind them. People just trying to go about their day. And they got their flashers on, and you can hear a couple honks and stuff because people don't know what they see this giant tractor. And
yet in the background, you can hear the Magnum PI theme playing.
I just thought that was the funniest thing when they a chase is happening and they showed the tractor and the cops. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, they're going real slow, and then they zoom out and it's like, oh, those people are gonna be late for work.
Can you imagine at that point when one of the North Carolina cops just decides, all right, we're gonna try one of those evasive maneuvers where we're gonna ram the back tire of the tractor. We're gonna put them in the ditch.
I'm going to try to pit maneuver this tractor.
Pit maneuver that tractor. Or better yet, you get one of the sticks. Put one of the sticks out so he runs
sticks.
over.
Would that work on tractor tires? I think tractor tires are meant to take that stuff.
We're about to find out, my friend.
All right.
We're about to find out. It looks like North Carolina man is now in the running, albeit slowly, against Florida man for shockingly stupid criminal acts. Are you ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
The bizarre pursuit was the antithesis of a high-speed chase, but the Guardian referred to Ronnie Hicks's blistering speeds and erratic driving as cause for the many police cruisers that joined in the chase, as Bruiser was saying, as the tractor terrorized motorists. I'm trying to make this as dramatic as I can. Just look at that ram try to catch the deer. Get it? In a deft maneuver, overtaking another police cruiser. There's actually video online. You can see what Bruiser's talking about by the many, many cars behind the John Deere tractor. The 43-year-old Hicks reportedly crashed into stationary cars and even tried to hit pedestrians with the tractor in a parking lot at first. Yep, he was dangerous.
Oh, yeah, they showed all that. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those things where you see him going, and I'm reminded of Austin Powers. When that guy's standing in front of it and he's, no! It's at one point in time, one of the pedestrians literally at the last second does a, whoop, you missed me.
He then sped down U.S. Highway 421, threatening to drive into other cars on the road. Hicks eventually rammed the John Deere into a police cruiser, but was forced to get off the tractor and flee on foot, which was even slower after turning into Boone's back roads. The North Carolina city's chief of police, Andy LeBeau, The perfect cop name if I ever heard it. Broke down the details of the low-speed chase in a statement on social media, going on to say, "We received a call about the tractor being driven erratically in a parking lot trying to hit pedestrians and did, in fact, hit a vehicle off 421 on the east side of town. He actually hit several vehicles, a dumpster, and a church."
I didn't know about the church.
Oh, yeah. He hit a house of God. We are still trying to sort it all out. We did attempt to use stop sticks, but they were not terribly effective on the tractor. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, they used stop sticks.
And it didn't work.
Andy LeBeau then went on to say, Mr. Hicks also intentionally rammed a Boone police vehicle. Once he turned onto Old 421, we was next concerned about Parkway Elementary, and we was determined not to let him get that far. When the tractor was in an isolated area, one of our officers shot the tires of the tractor with my authorization, since the spike strips were ineffective. The tractor then turned onto Elk Creek Road. After a few miles of driving without a front tire, Mr. Hicks turned onto a private drive and ran out of road.
Gotta know where you're going.
Right. After Hicks was caught at the dead end and the tractor was impaired by shots to its tires. Can you just see that? They got the shotgun up and you hear Andy LeBeau go, "Bart!"
You can't even say it's a moving target. They're going so slow.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty much like
isn't skeet shooting? Don't the clay pigeons go faster than that?
They do. It's more like a shot at the county fair in a booth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So does he get off the trailer and goes, "You won. Here's your teddy bear."
You want to trade up? Take another shot. We'll give you the big teddy bear. And the tractor was Okay, so the tractor was impaired by shots to its tires. The thief jumped off brandishing a knife. Oh, now we're getting into the weeds.
Probably a Swiss Army knife, too.
And we say the tractor was impaired rather than immobilized because it's possible the tractor could have found some traction. Police claim they finally had to use a taser to stop Hicks. Now it's getting good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully it worked.
Well, we'll find out. And they added that this isn't the first time. I'm just so giddy I can't talk straight. And they added that this isn't the first time Ronnie has had a run-in with the law. After the chase, the tractor thief was arrested on charges of, here we go, reckless driving and driving while impaired, among others. That's right. Ronnie Hicks was tipping a 2 or 1.
His words while he was arrested was, "Damn you, LeBeau! Damn you again!
Damn you, LeBeau! You got me."
We're forever in this dance, aren't we, LeBeau?
Yeah, we're forever tangled in this web we weave, LeBeau.
You're my Batman, aren't you, LeBeau?
And I'm just the Joker. I live to cause chaos in this county, LeBeau.
You just wait when my plan comes to fruition.
That's right. That's right. If you thought that was stupid, though, Bruiser,
I love low speed chases. I'm okay with them. Is that what OJ was in, a low speed chase?
Yeah, he was, but it wasn't as fun as that. I mean,
no, this one's a lot more fun.
When you're on when you're on a knife wielding 20-mile-an-hour chase on a John Deere.
Yeah.
Nothing runs like a deer.
No.
I'm just saying.
I found, too, around here in North Carolina, people use their lawn tractors or riding lawnmowers to go places. Yeah. And I'm not talking like end of the block. I'm talking like to the grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
A mile away.
That's a Southern thing. That way they believe you can drink and you can go to the grocery store.
Oh, yeah. They drink a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah. I saw a guy the other day. He had a Natty Light.
A Natty Light, really?
He was driving his John Deere, had his Natty Light, had the trailer on the back with all of his grocery bags in there.
You're kidding me.
And a bunch of grass seed. Oh, yeah.
You're kidding me.
Nope. And he was off on the side. He wasn't impeding any traffic or anything. Just chugging away, having a good time.
You know, technically, you can be arrested for being impaired while on your lawn tractor.
Oh, yeah. No, I know that. You're not allowed to. So I found this out. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's nationwide, but here in North Carolina, you're not allowed to drink and drive your lawnmower or drink and ride your horse.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. You can't be impaired while operating a horse, I guess.
Exactly.
I don't know if that's operating a horse or riding your horse, I guess. Yeah. It's true. Absolutely true.
We're in the South, and we're in the South.
You are in the South, indeed, my friend. By the way, next week I'll be doing we won't have Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals next week because I will be doing an up close and personal investigation of Pasco County, Florida.
That's right. You're going to be with the Florida man.
Yes, I'm going to be going in depth under investigation. I'll be dressing up as Florida man and trying to get in and amongst Florida man.
Just remember, if you want a really good interview, you just tell them to bring their mess to you and you can check it out.
That's right.
If it's good mess.
I'll test it for them.
Exactly.
Yep. Make sure it's 100% pure.
Yeah. And say, you know what? I know how to talk to you people. My co-host has no teeth either.
So yes, next week I'm going undercover with Florida man, and I'll report. I'll report in 2 weeks. I'll report the findings. Going undercover with Florida man.
This is gonna be great.
I'll take random shots from Pasco County and put it on social media. So,
and it's got to be of like the weird. Like, don't take nice vacation photos.
Oh no, I'm going to the Pasco County Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to Walmart in Pasco County.
How many people are going to be drunk driving around those scooters?
I'm going to get one of those scooters.
I know you are.
In Walmart.
Just don't be drunk while you do it.
And I'm gonna take pictures with my phone inside of Pasco County Walmart.
Yes.
God willing, and the grass go green and the creek don't run dry. I'm going to a Walmart right there in Pasco County and on the scene reporting. I may even take video.
Perfect.
Inside a Walmart in Pasco County. I may even go to the Publix and the places where you hear about sandwiches, people being beat with sandwiches. I may try to get beat with a sandwich by Florida man inside a Publix just to see, just for you guys. I love you guys this much that I'll try to get beat with a sandwich inside Publix.
You got to get a picture of that mother with the 6 kids, the one hanging from the teat while her Newport hangs out of her mouth.
Yep.
And she's buying out liquor.
And she's wearing nothing but see-through tights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a shirt that said, God broke the mold when he made me.
That's right. That's the one I'm getting. And I'm going to have a picture of me with my arm around her. Yeah.
Perfect.
It'll be like catching Bigfoot. It'll be perfect. Let's continue on our cavalcade of stupid criminals. We go to Rochester, New York, where a parolee was charged with burglarizing 6 homes. Want to know how they caught him, Bruiser?
Yeah, I do. How did they catch him?
They caught him because he was wearing his GPS monitor while he was doing them.
Do these criminals not know what GPS is?
GPS.
I don't know GPS. I have Google Maps.
That's right. GPS. Doesn't that mean that it's hooked up to my phone? A parolee was charged with 6 burglaries that happened this past December and January on the city's east side of Rochester, New York. Well,
damn, a man's got to eat.
That's true. I guess you can't quit working, even though you got a bracelet on your ankle. Rochester police say they identified 26-year-old Jamal Burden as a suspect using the GPS monitor he's required to wear and using video posted on a neighborhood social media app. He got double caught. Yep.
Hey, Jamal, is this you? Nope, wasn't me. But your bracelet says you were there. How do you know that? We have GPS.
GPS, the timestamp. And oh, yeah, by the way, you're on that social media app. Officers say they responded to a burglary at a home on Canterbury Street on January 10th and discovered that Burden was there earlier, according to his GPS monitor. Officers went to Burden's home on Grand Avenue, and guess what? They searched the place and took him into custody.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. According to RPD, investigators found evidence while searching the home that linked Burden to the 6 burglaries.
It's because he didn't have time to go to the pawn shop.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that would have shown up on GPS too.
Exactly.
Yeah. Plus the monitors and the cameras at the pawn shop would have indicted him.
Yeah, and pawn shops legally have to report stolen merchandise.
Yep. Burden was taken to Monroe County Jail. He was on parole for a 2016 conviction of criminal possession of a weapon. He's facing charges for burglarizing homes in these locations. Here, Jamal, let's read them off for you so you know exactly where you were when you made these burglaries.
But Tim, how do we know he was there?
It would have been his GPS monitor on his ankle, bruiser on his ankle.
That's right.
So, Jamal, in case you were wondering, you were on Hawthorne Street on December 4th. You were on Chapin Street on December 27th. By the way, you burglarized that home on Colburn Road on January 3rd. You were at Hazelwood Terrace on January 4th. You robbed that home on North Winton Road on January 7th. And by the way, you were busy doing that home on Canterbury Street on January 10th.
Yeah, at least he took the holidays off.
Yeah, well, he did. He took a nice break there for New Year's. So there you go, Jamal. They'll be getting you for those crimes as well.
Why didn't they catch him sooner? They have the GPS right there. Why didn't they catch him sooner?
They only check the bracelet every so often.
They're just like, hey, maybe we should have checked this guy quicker.
Yeah, we should have checked this sooner.
Yeah.
But, we wanted to make sure we had a good list of crimes to charge him with. So there you go. We move on. Oh, this is a good one. We go back to Florida because Florida provides.
Yes. When we need stupid, Florida give us.
That's right.
Florida, sorry.
A female suspect claims this is not a pipe. These are not the droids you seek, and this is not the pipe you're looking for.
I just picture Crocodile and Dundee. This is not a pipe. No. This is a pipe.
This is a pipe. Surreal moment occurs when jailers conducted a strip search. Ooh, this will be a fun story. Ready for this one? Especially when, Bruiser, this is a little joke between you and I. This is the woman they strip searched.
I'm sorry, police officers.
Being a jailer isn't all it's
cracked on her neck.
It's either that or it's a pipe burn. Being a jailer isn't all it's cracked up to be, ladies and gentlemen.
No. I would rather look at a naked goat than that.
Look at a naked goat. You mean Tom Brady? After jail deputies conducting a strip search spotted what appeared to be a crack pipe hanging from her Virginia. That's not the quote, but it's sort of close. A Florida woman claimed that the item was actually a sex toy and not drug paraphernalia.
That's not my crack pipe. That's my vibrator. I just left it in there.
Maybe I should have left this for the not safe for work section of the show. But we're going with it. We're going with it, kids. It's a gift from God. 57-year-old Carmela Ann, I believe it is Manies. Manies heard from Manies heard from being on him from that crack pipe.
My knees hurt from squatting and coughing and spitting out my sex toy.
57-year-old Carmela Ann, we'll just put it that way, was busted this past week on a warrant charging her with failing to appear in court in connection with an alleged theft last year. Guess where?
Florida.
In a Walmart store.
In a Walmart.
That's why I'm going undercover for you guys, to catch stuff like this.
Just don't strip search anybody.
Oh, the night is young. Well, it could be Manies was being processed into the Pinellas County Jail. A booking officer observed an anomaly after they put things so nicely.
And that was before she squatted.
Hey, I thought you said you were... No. After the inmate passed through a full body scanner. During a subsequent strip search, jailers reported a glass pipe was protruding from the defendant's vagina. Are you sure that's a glass pipe?
Oh, what if that cracked?
What if it was still warm? Oh!
She was in the middle of using it when she got caught and just quickly put it up there.
Manies? My knees, my legs, my hips, and my No, that was a different song. Removed the pipe from her body, threw it on the ground, and stepped on it in an effort to destroy evidence, investigators allege. Bad pipe, bad pipe. You can't see her as a sex toy to staffers. That's just my pumping munch? What would you call it? It's just my traveling friend.
I wanted 24 hours of pleasure. So
yeah, that's just
stuck that up there and forgot about it.
It's just my stir stick. Reported Deputy James Upton, who added that the pipe remnants had burnt markings and was consistent with a pipe commonly used to smoke crack cocaine.
Well, it had some kind of crack on it.
That's just my crack stack. That's just my... Manise was charged with introducing contraband into a detention facility and tampering with evidence, both felonies. She is locked up in lieu of how much bond?
Oh, I'm going with $1,000. $1,000.
Go high.
Oh, $3,000.
Little higher.
$5,000.
3,500.
35. Okay.
Yep.
How is she gonna? Okay, so let's say she gets that through. Okay, they don't find it up there in the hoo-hoo, right?
Okay.
They ignore the hoo-hoo.
Right.
She gets into prison and looks around, goes, "Who's got some crack?" And another girl goes, "Well, I got some crack that I smuggled in my crack."
Who's holding?
She goes, "Okay, well, you want to hit off my hoo-hoo crack pipe here?" Reaches into her pants and pulls it out. Who takes a pull off that?
Who wants to hit the cooch pipe? Well, Bruiser, when a woman loves a woman very much, she'll take a hit off that cooch pipe. And it doesn't really matter. So,
especially with the crack.
Yep, with the crack. So, yeah, it's all right. It's all good in the hood. It's all.
I guess I'm not that desperate to smoke crack.
Do they have? I'm not trying to get too gross here, but do they have sinks in the?
Yes.
Okay, so you can wash off the mouthpiece.
Yeah, but that washes away all the crack remnants.
The good tasting crack remnants that are on the.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to get the full experience?
You want it all.
I see. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Let's get that image out of our head. The Menise's rap sheet includes convictions for trespassing, disorderly conduct, fraud, battery, driving without a license. That's her biggest offense there, and failure to appear in court. So there you go.
This is her first drug convict or contraband, huh? I would assume there was some more drugs on there.
No. I'm just, she looks really, really low energy for someone who's on crack, doesn't she?
Yeah, but look at all those wrinkles and the hair.
She looks like someone who probably needs some vitamin D in her life.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the Disney. I'm just talking about vitamin D. I'm just saying.
My heart goes out to those guards.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's not easy being a jailer.
No,
it's just
especially when she took her top off and her chest hit her knees.
Oh, come on. Not my knees. See what I did there?
My boobies hit my knees.
Oh, come on now. I'm sure she's a fine woman. She's a fine...
a straight upstanding citizen sticking a hot crack pipe up her.
Well, we all have to have a place for our pipes. I'm just saying. We
do.
Mine happens to be a cedar box not cedar box, not see her box, cedar box that sits on the shelf, in my studio. But hers happens to be her see her box, which is located in her panties.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was tasteless. So, onward and forward. Sorry, folks, if you were offended by that last story, you can just fast forward.
Or she said onward and upward.
Oh, no, come on. I don't even know if I have oh, there it is. There you go, Bruiser. You got one of those.
I'm not the only one who got the rim shot.
Oh, God, no. Come on. Moving on.
Or up.
Oh, no. We move on to Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. Okay, we're going north.
Yeah, we're going. Oh. This man decided he was going to make friends in law enforcement.
Oh, okay. Well,
But he's
that's a plus.
going to do it the wrong way. This man wanted to get to know law enforcement a little better by threatening to blow up their county courthouse.
Oh, you're not going to make friends that way.
And decided he'd get to know the sheriff a little better by eating him.
Wait, what?
Yeah, well, sometimes friends could be made through cannibalism.
That was Dahmer's philosophy.
I guess so. Hi-yo. And giving myself a rim shot. But if I could give myself a rim shot, I wouldn't leave home. Anywho, we go to Napier Township, Pennsylvania. Authorities say a Shellsburg man is behind bars for threatening to blow up the Bedford County Courthouse. How stupid can you get?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that. State police say 39-year-old Luke Bartholow has been charged with misdemeanor bomb threats threatening the placement of a bomb. According to state police, troopers were called in January 15th after Bartholow violated a protection from abuse order at a home in Napier Township. That does not surprise me whatsoever.
No.
They say the victim recorded a phone call from Bartholow in which he threatened to eat the sheriff. Yes, I said eat the sheriff and kill everyone inside the courthouse with an explosion.
I ate the sheriff, but I did not season the deputy.
Bartholow is now being held in the Bedford County Prison, where he can try the all-you-can-eat inmates.
No, he wants to go after the guards. He wants that higher tasting.
Yeah. No. His bail has been set at $1 million. A preliminary hearing is scheduled for this week. So,
why would you threaten to eat the sheriff? Like that just, I heard it backs you up.
Oh no! Got a sheriff's deputy in my stool. Little Dulcilax will get that softened up and right through. That's for sure. I have a disturbing crime.
Okay.
This isn't even
like the last couple haven't been.
Well, okay, they've been a little disturbing.
We've had threats to eat sheriffs and stuff shoved places they're not supposed to be in a low-speed chase.
Yeah, okay, those have been a little disturbing. This is really disturbing.
Okay.
What's the worst thing you can find if you're a carjacker?
In the car is a dead body.
Bingo! We go to Chicagoland area via Rockford. A body is still missing after a stolen Rockford funeral home van is located in Chicago. That's Chicago for you.
It has to say funeral home on the side. You have to know what goes on at a funeral home.
Right. So when you go to steal their van, wouldn't you look around a little bit to say, hey, does this one have it? Hello, Mr. Dead Body.
Yeah, it's not like they use a hearse all the time. They got to get the corpse from the hospital to the funeral home.
Right. You would think you'd look around just to make sure you're not hauling off a dead body when you steal the vehicle.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Rockford police tweeted the search is still ongoing.
Wait, it's still
for the dead body.
That'd be the first thing I get out. I'd be like, oh, yeah, I stole the van. Like, oh, my God. Next pit stop. We're just going to sit this guy here on this bench and leave. Right?
I'd put him right there on the corner before you're taking off with the car, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Shouldn't be more than 500 feet away from the funeral home.
No. In fact, I'll drop it off in front of the funeral home and still steal the van.
Right. I'd put him right in the lobby.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, found this outside. See you later.
Yep. Search is still ongoing after the deceased adult was not found inside the stolen vehicle. Oh, dear God. Rockford police say the search is still ongoing after the body of a deceased adult was not located inside a stolen funeral home van found in Chicago. On the afternoon of Saturday, January 21st, the van was stolen outside Collins and Stone Funeral Home in Rockford, Illinois. Officers say there was a body of a deceased adult inside the cargo area when the van was taken. The suspects reportedly fled Rockford for the Chicago area immediately. Then Then shortly before 8 p.m. on Sunday, the van was found in Chicago, roughly 90 miles away, according to a tweet from Rockford law enforcement. However, the body was not found inside the vehicle. Rockford officers are continuing the search with other law enforcement agencies. Further details were not immediately available. This is a continuing story and will be updated pending more information. The tweets are even more disturbing from Rockford
So they
police.
found the van, but not the body. So the carjacker saw the body and went, I could probably make some money off this more than this van.
We'll hold him for ransom.
So let's do Weekend at Bernie's and rob someplace.
What's funny is when they put out the alert saying a van from a local funeral home was stolen yesterday. This is from the Rockford L Police, okay, or at Rockford PD, if you want to look it up on Twitter. It says a van from a local funeral home was stolen yesterday with a deceased adult inside, and it fled the area immediately. The van was just located in Chicago. We're continuing our investigation at this time, and any further updates will be posted here. 378 people liked it. Like, yeah, go get them. Or, oh, that's disturbing. But not a lot of replies. 52 replies. I almost want to see what the replies are. Do you want to know?
I'm curious what the replies are.
All right.
It's making fun of them. Like, wait, they have the body, but not the van.
Well, you want to?
Because that's my first thought. I thought I'd get rid of the body and keep the van, because you can strip down the van. You can strip down the body, I guess.
They say, okay, 1 hour ago from the Rockford police, the body of the deceased man from the stolen van was located.
Oh, okay.
In the 8200 block of South Manistee in Chicago.
How close to the van is that? We don't know, do they? They don't say.
It says, please review the tweet sent earlier with suspect pics and reach out to us if you have any info.
So here's what happened, I bet they were driving. They noticed the body.
Mm-hmm.
They dumped the body, get back in, but they got such bad heebie-jeebies because they just touched a dead body that they just got to get away from the van. Like, oh, I can't be in here anymore. This is disgusting.
There's the responses are kind of funny. One guy says, this is the plot of Hereditary. Officer Porkchop says, hopefully the toe tag is still tied to the body for easy identification. Maybe it reads, if found, please call. Pedro at Pedro Red Blue says, never in my long career have I ever had to enter a missing deceased person into the database. Okay.
Thanks, Pedro. Way to bring it down, Pedro.
Yeah, way to bring down the room, Pedro. Thanks. Mike says, pretty sure this is how a horror movie starts.
Yeah.
Matt says, I'm pretty sure I remember this plot from at least 2 movies from the 80s. No, they weren't zombie or end of the world flicks.
No, it's Weekend at Bernie's.
Mikey says, I hope these thieves get a stiff sentence too soon.
Do you think they'll call the body up as a witness?
Oh, that's good.
Is that what you mean? It was them body?
I'm looking at some of these other responses. I don't want to say the name because I have one in front of me. Alexa says, I wonder if they could add kidnapping. Right?
No, but it probably is something to a corpse.
Someone wants to know if there's a ransom demand for the missing deceased.
Yes, there is. Do you think they mailed the toe tag to the family? We have her body.
Somebody says, and would that happen next if this occurred in the Walking Dead universe? What does that mean?
I don't know.
That
doesn't make any sense.
Are they assuming that the dead body drove the van?
Zombies can't drive, silly.
What kind of weird response is that? Now in 2023, we have body snatchers, says Larry Rung. I don't know. The way it is written implies that the dead body is what fled, not the van thief. I didn't take it as that way.
Neither did I.
Colin, who obviously doesn't live in Illinois, says, they carjacked a dead person. Keep that shit over there in Illinois. He must be from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody who obviously has the handle of OBGYN Kenobi and isn't that intelligent said, wait, the deceased adult fled the area immediately? Obviously not that bright with the moniker of OBGYN Kenobi.
This is not the vagina you're looking for.
It was just waiting.
They could have used him earlier in that prison.
That's
story.
right. Yeah. Why isn't he working at the prison? I don't know. Anywho, interesting responses. Anytime you got to figure, anytime the police department is putting anything on Twitter, there's going to be smart ass responses.
Oh, yeah. Anytime anything goes on Twitter, you get smart ass responses.
But ladies and gentlemen, we found him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. We got the deceased.
Hopefully he was safely returned.
Let's hope so. If not, they just dumped him off in front of the funeral home and said, he's yours now.
How would you like to just be wandering along and there's a dead body with a toe tag all ready to go?
That would be weird. Yeah, that would just be weird. Yeah, no thanks. No thanks. Let's go back to Florida, shall we?
Okay.
This crime involving the perp, a falling iguana.
Yes, because when it gets below 40 degrees in Florida, iguanas hibernate and fall out of trees.
That's right.
They cause a bunch of problems.
That's right. A Miami man was injured by a falling iguana during an outdoor yoga class. Thank you to our buddy Tom, by the way, for providing this horrible, horrible crime to us.
It's better than goat yoga, I bet.
I bet.
Is this new iguana yoga?
Iguana yoga, yes. Where if you're not awake during the class, you get hit by an iguana and you're instantly awake. For 14 years, yoga instructor Anna Margaret Sanchez has taught a free community class at Legion Park in Miami's Upper East Side neighborhood. It started with 20 people and grew over time to the point where attendance can easily top 100. And regulars have braved hurricane watches and COVID-19 lockdowns to meet under the oak trees on Saturday mornings. Sanchez live streams the sessions to those who can't make it in person and who can't make it in person. They can also participate on Instagram. I'll get that right. The first Saturday of 2023 drew an especially large crowd. The weather was lovely and only 7 days into the new year. Resolution still glinted with potential. It was a really beautiful day, Sanchez remembers. I kept saying, don't forget to look up at the beautiful trees and the beautiful sky. Maybe looking up wasn't the thing to do. Trigger warning here. You won't believe what happened next. I don't know why it's a trigger warning. The class proceeded as...
Some people out there have PTSD from falling iguanas. I mean, come on, Tim, get on board.
I guess so.
You've never been hit by an iguana before? Come on, Tim.
No,
Live a little.
Well, I'll find out next week, I guess.
I was going to say, you're going to be there next week.
Right.
Take an iguana to the face and see how much PTSD you have.
I think I've said that once or twice to a random hookup. I think I've said, take this iguana to the face. The class proceeded as... Let me do one of those. The class proceeded as usual for 47 minutes. Breathing exercises, upward and downward dog. I've said that too. Warrior, triangle, and seated stretching poses. As always, Sanchez concluded by instructing yogis to roll onto their backs, lift their hips, and begin to look inward. Yes, that's when you say, take this iguana to the face. It was then that a series of noises, tree branches rustling, a loud thud, and a cacophony of gasps ensued. Guys, I think we're going to close the class, Sanchez can be heard saying on the Instagram live video recording. I'm going to take care of someone who just got an iguana dropped on his face. That's someone.
Come for the yoga, stay for the iguanas to the face.
That's right. They don't give you that at Applebee's, I'll tell you that much.
Hey, at least when the iguana landed, it stood up and went, "Namaste."
Namaste. That someone would be Michael, who agreed to speak with New Times, the place where I'm reading this article from, on quite understandable condition that we not publish his last name. Michael
Or his
Iguana,
picture.
right? Michael Iguana to the face, we'll call him. I don't want to be known as the guy whose face was used as an iguana launching pad, he says. Hence, I gave him the wrong last name.
Hey, Mikey.
He likes it.
You got an iguana on your face.
Hey, Mikey, he likes it. As Michael tells it, one moment he's relaxed on his back with his shade hat covering his face, preparing for the final resting pose, Savasana, sometimes referred to as corpse pose. And the next he's in excruciating pain, bleeding and unable to open his eyes.
Hey, the iguana was doing the corpse pose. Leave him alone.
That's right. Are you ready for this next one?
Oh, yeah.
Please hold your applause until the end. I didn't see it coming. It felt like a sandbag hit me in the face, Michael says. The first thing that went through my head was it must have been a coconut. But there were no coconut trees. And then I thought maybe the guy next to me slugged me. But I mean, we're in a yoga class and it's so calm and peaceful. Why would the guy hit me?
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is called punch to the face pose.
Yes, this is called your face makes me angry pose. Nearby yogis who had their eyes open at the fateful moment would later inform Michael that his assailant was a green iguana weighing about between 20 and 30 pounds. Ow.
Oh, ouch.
Though iguanas are locally and nationally famed for lapsing into temporary paralysis and falling from high places when ambient temperatures drop below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, witnesses reported that this particular specimen had been dueling with an even larger iguana on a branch roughly 25 feet off the ground.
It was getting its ass kicked. I throw you into Mikey. I throw you into Mikey.
There's a giant iguana that is king of that frickin' park. I've seen it chase squirrels, Sanchez elaborates. Though the eyebrow-raising weight estimate may bear a proportional relationship to the unsettling nature of the creature's arrival, these two iguanas were having a moment in the tree, and I guess the smaller one was like, what the hell, I'm getting out of here, and jumped or was pushed. I don't know what the heck happened. I guess it must have lost its footing and then fell onto this man's face. Though Michael was in a lot of pain, his eye had swollen shut and he was bleeding from his nose or lip. Paramedics with the City of Miami Fire Department happened to be at Legends Park's Saturday Farmers Market. It's nice that they took a nice break from the day.
Yeah, they're getting their stuff for the house, the firehouse.
Yeah, nice fruits and vegetables, I'm sure. They can be seen just about at 1:48 on the live stream as they arrive on the scene holding bouquets of sunflowers. Oh, namaste. The paramedics took Michael's vitals and checked his pupils, assured that he'd be fine. He declined emergency transport to the hospital because if he would have accepted, we all would have punched him in the face.
Yeah.
A fellow yogi offered him an anti-inflammatory tea.
Of course it was a tea. Of course.
Yeah, it was. He and Sanchez waited for Michael's wife to drive him home. According to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, green iguanas are native to Brazil and Mexico. They were first reported in Florida in the 1960s in Hialeah, Coral Gables, and Key Biscayne after having arrived via the exotic pet trade. South Florida's extensive man-made canal system has provided the reptiles with what the FWC calls an ideal dispersal corridor. The reptiles, which can grow up to more than 5 feet in length and weigh up to 17 pounds, can be troublesome neighbors burrowing underground tunnels that can collapse seawalls and sidewalks, and occasionally popping up in your toilet. Just a little interesting tidbit.
Would you rather have an iguana to the face or an iguana to the butt?
I would rather not have one bite me in the keister, thanks. They also feast on tree snails and the host plant of the Miami blue butterfly. Their watery scat is a nuisance Yeah, that's right. They also shit on you from the trees for all their reasons, which don't even include the creature's disconcerting tendency to fall to the earth with no provocation whatsoever. The FWC encourages homeowners to humanely kill iguanas on their property and on 25 separate public lands in South Florida. No permit required. So get to them before they get to you.
Yeah. Make yourself a nice belt.
That's right. Speaking of getting shit on from above, by the way, we're on the closing end of Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals. We'll do that not safe for work thing. And this is our last story of the day and your NSFW story of the day. So for this, we'll give you just a moment to clear
this
the
one
palate.
we're preparing them for.
Yeah, this one.
The prison one we didn't.
Sorry, I didn't say turn down your listening device for the last.
We were like an iguana to the face with that prison stuff.
Yeah, we didn't warn you about crack pipe coochie. So we'll warn you about this one. This one is about. We'll just call it Joe's Crap Shack. So you'll have a moment. Okay, now you've turned down your listening device.
Yeah.
You put on your headphones for your boss. You've done everything that you have to do. This is the final story of Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals today. A Florida man defecates on the floor of Joe's Crab Shack during a break-in.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
When you gotta go, you gotta go. We're going to Fort Myers, Florida. And you thought everything was copacetic when you went to Joe's Crab Shack. You thought it was the cleanest environment ever. You love that bucket of crabs. When you go to Joe's Crab Shack, it turns out Fort Myers police are searching for a pooping perpetrator caught on camera breaking into Joe's Crab Shack this past Saturday.
Mad pooper. He's the mad pooper.
That's right. According to if I didn't know any better, I would have said I thought this kid was my nephew, but it's not. It's not him.
He's not the mad pooper.
He's not the mad pooper. According to a Fort Myers Police Department Facebook post, the incident happened at around 2:30 a.m. at 2024 West 1st Street. Surveillance video shows the man squeeze through a small broken window to get into the restaurant. Police say they
squeeze something out of his small broken window.
That's right. Police said the alleged suspect stole several items, including alcohol, and then he popped a deuce on the floor before he left. Because once you get a little alcohol in you and you get some of that slippery meat and that buttery substance, along with the alcohol, it sloshes around in your belly. And of course, what happens?
You gotta go.
That's right. You gotta go.
And when you're in the middle of a crime, you can't just stop. You just got to go and go.
Well, yeah. And let's face it, the bathrooms in Joe's Crab Shack are not clearly labeled.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So
he didn't want to walk in on somebody.
What, 2:30 in the morning?
You never know.
He also snatched a Joe's Crab Shack hat off a shelf, which
of course he did.
He probably could have gone in, but he didn't. And he wore it as he walked around the restaurant. So at least there's advertising in the video. I mean, come on.
Me. I work at Joe's Crab Shack. Look at me. Oh, gotta poop.
Gotta poop. Whoops. Fort Myers police are asking anyone who recognizes the man to contact them or submit an anonymous tip to Southwest Florida Crime Stoppers.
Can't they get DNA from the poop?
Either that or they can send it into that colon testing place.
I was going to say, I see the poop in a box commercials all the time. I want to do that, by the way, just to do it.
Especially during dinner. Do you ever, when you sit down to dinner and you have the TV on, isn't that colon testing thing like on all the time?
It's that one and the pubic hair that sings.
Right. Or you know what it is now? It's the ladies, I love you all. But it's the larger woman with the sanitary pad that goes in your panties that's larger than a king salmon.
Oh, yes.
She holds that thing up like a championship belt.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I yelled out, I'm taking a bite of macaroni and cheese the other day. And maybe it's the sound it makes. I don't know. But I'm taking a bite of mac and cheese and you hear the whatever the noise it makes. And I look up and here's this woman holding up a king salmon size sanitary pad that goes in your panties. And she's like, I use this. And I'm like, yeah. I screamed out loud. I'm like, who uses that? King Kong?
Andre the Giant did.
I'm like, what the?
This guy probably should have used it. He went at the shit in the middle of Joe's Crab Shack.
Well, he could have laid out his turds in that giant sanitary napkin. Holy cow. Look at the, is this a roll of toilet paper this kid has? Did he wipe? Well,
yeah, I think he wiped. And did he wear, are those sunglasses or swimming goggles on his head?
Maybe he was going to swim in his own piss. Those are, no, that's the, no, you know what? You're right. Is that,
does it look like swim goggles?
No, I got a color picture here. I think these are, I don't know. Are those goggles or sunglasses?
I don't know, because now he's got the hat. It looks like goggles.
I don't know. The kid's probably
he's trying to hide his face.
Maybe they're the worst pair of Oakleys ever. It could be. I don't know. They look like they're the same sunglasses that Justin Jefferson wears pregame. I have no idea, buddy.
The old Christian ones from back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. The kid looks like he's a shit face. That's for sure. Well, I mean, you know what I mean, but
he shit something. That's for sure.
He did shit something. But yeah, it's disturbing commercials everywhere on TV now.
Yeah,
especially when you're trying to eat.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is. Maybe I should stop eating with the TV on. Maybe I need to read a book. I don't know.
You know, something will come up anyways.
Yeah,
just to disturb you.
Yeah, you're right. Oh well, so that'll do it for Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. What you got going on this weekend? Anything?
No, I'm again resting the body. I'm off till February 18th. I'm still training Wednesday nights, Winston-Salem.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Tell people if they'd like to train to be a professional wrestler and they want to do it with the best, where they can do that.
AMLwrestling.com. Sign up. Come on out. I'll train you. I'll show you how to do a little bit of that wrestling. Mm-hmm. Right on. I'm not going to be up in St. Cloud for a couple of weeks up at KNSI because I'm going to go do that intrepid reporting from Pasco County for you guys next week. That's right. You're getting right in there with Florida Man.
That's right. I'm going to get in there with Florida Man. I'm going to post some stuff on social media. Hope to get face-to-face.
Make sure you get yourself a Pabst Blue Ribbon hat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, a neon Gold's Gym wife beater.
Yep.
Some ripped jeans that are made in the shorts.
Yep.
And some Crocs.
Now, it's got to be one of those knit ones, right? One of the knit ones with the beer can. Yeah, the beer can Pabst Blue Ribbon thing. Yeah.
Make sure you got some Crocs.
Ooh, Crocs. See, that's kind of tough, but because I can't wear traditional footwear.
You can wear the one.
That's true. I can wear the one. Yeah, but I'll do that. I'll be riding around in a power cart like most of them do.
Have a cooler full of beer. Yep,
I'll put a cooler of beer in there so I can bond with said Florida Man.
Yeah.
Yep. But not too classy a beer.
No. It's got to be like Natty Ice or Natty Light.
Yeah. I'm gonna drink the General Swill.
Make sure you try to eat some chili, but get all over your chest.
Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna have a lot of food debris on my on my Gold's Gym. Is it Gold's Gym I should wear?
I think Gold's Gym. Yeah.
That's kind of a classy gym, though. Sure.
Yeah, but they usually just give out their tank tops for free. That's why.
Oh, okay. So, so I'll get
a wife beater. It's your choice.
Okay. I might just get the $5.99 tank top from Walmart.
No classic wife beater.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get one with like a "You Can't See Me" on.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And you need to get a Newport 100, but not light it. Just let it hang from your mouth.
Just let it hang from my lip.
Yeah.
Put one behind my ear.
Yeah, one in each ear.
Behind each.
Oh, and you know the hat? You should get the hat with the cups on the side and the straws.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Boy, I'll make friends then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to share with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Did I ever tell you I once almost got in a fight going into Pasco County or coming out of Pasco County Walmart?
No, but I assume you probably would. Yeah, don't get carjacked for your rascal.
No. It's a funny story. I'll have to tell it sometime I'm not going to tell it today, but I'll tell it sometime on True Crime Tuesday.
Well, when you get back.
Yeah, when I get back, I'll tell you the time.
So I'm sure you have another one too.
This guy was skeevy as fuck, though. I mean, if I could say that, but he was, yeah, and he was just looking for a fight, and of course I'm walking out of. I was wearing one of my wrestling t-shirts, and I was a big guy, so he must have thought I was going to fight him.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah, I get that all the time.
So, yeah, but I was just coming out of Walmart, and he had an attitude. I think he thought I was gonna go toe to toe with him.
Yeah, I get that all the time. You're one of them there wrestlers. Well, let's fight. No, I don't want to fight you.
Nope. No. But yeah, he wanted to pick a fight with me. So I'll tell the story some other time. But yeah, but that'll do it for Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. Tomorrow it is supernatural news. We've got some strange and unusual stories we'll talk about tomorrow. And then Thursday, we'll talk about, Bruiser, I got to tell you, every time I go to a paranormal convention, every time I'm in a paranormal setting, everybody in the room's an empath.
Okay.
Everybody comes up to me and says, but you know what? I already knew that. You know why? Because I'm an empath. The entire energy in this room, Bruiser, I can feel the energy of everybody in this room, Bruiser. It's just so overwhelming.
So you're saying when I do a con with you, I'm going to become an empath?
Yes, everybody's an empath. Yeah, I can feel it because I'm an empath. We're going to tell you why you aren't an empath. On Wednesday. We've got an honest to God empath with us on Wednesday. On Thursday. I keep saying Wednesday, but it's Thursday. On Thursday, we've got an honest to God empath. And we're going to tell you why. Why, folks? Believe it or not, Bruce, only 2% of people are empaths.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to tell you why you're not an empath and why you are, and this is a term I came up with. I'm trying to remember what the term is now. It's physically sympathetic.
Ah, okay.
To someone. Physically sympathetic.
Okay.
And not necessarily an empath. And we'll describe what the difference between being an empath and physically sympathetic is. Okay. And now I'm going to have a bunch of people pissed off at me right now, ready to email me. So Thursday, we have a guest coming in who's an empath. We'll tell you why you are or aren't an empath. Oh boy, I'm going to get them riled up this week. I love when you do that. Get them riled up. So that's coming up this Thursday on the show. So tomorrow, Supernatural News. Thursday, is you is or is you ain't an empath. There you go. That's this week on Darkness Radio. For Beer City Bruiser, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much, folks, for tuning in today to the best in true crime talk radio. This is True Crime Tuesday.